problem. Thanks, Craig. So I am lucky enough to be introducing our first speaker. I also got to spend a bit of time with Philly last week where we were doing a bit of prep for the session, and I was really excited. I felt that a lot of the things we chatted about really resonated with the way that I've felt over the past couple of years, but also just excited to gain some insights into how to maybe have a bit more of a successful 2022 and really reflect on the past year too. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Phillippa Powell. So Phillippa is the founder and a bit of a wellbeing provocateur of the Wellbeing Tick. She is a bit of a self-confessed wellbeing junkie herself. In 2011, Phillippa realised that, the load of having a bit of a carefree and unhealthy lifestyle really was kind of bogging her down, and she wanted to try and, put some things in play that would help her feel better. So she researched lots and lots, and it's taken her on a bit of a journey on, how to feel consistently awesome and that whole pursuit around that. For those who don't know, but Phillippa's professional experience really ranges over 17 years of different people and culture roles. And most recently, she was working with Chorus, where she designed and led the wellbeing and diversity and inclusion programme. So I think we are in good hands. And then alongside this work, she also studied to become a nutritionist, and she changed to having a 4-day working week where she could do some of a little side hustle herself, where she focused on launching the Wellbeing Junkie, which is a nutrition and wellbeing coaching business. Then from August this year, she's been working for herself, and that's where she launched the Aotearoa's very first ever Wellbeing Tick. So what is the Wellbeing Tick? It's a workplace accreditation programme based on award-winning and globally researched wellbeing framework. It's really designed to raise the bar and set the standard for best practice here in Aotearoa. So Phillippa really does practice what she preaches, and during the working week, she really sets healthy boundaries. She does exercise, she takes breaks, she tries to work sort of at that 30 hours a week, and instead of being distracted while she's at work, she focuses on having really kind of deep sprints of work that's free from your mobile phone or other things that are going to distract you whilst you're at work. And then outside of work, she's a bit of a doer. So she's into meditation, podcasts, running. She's a yogi, nature hiker. She loves food. The list goes on. But yeah, I'm really excited for Phillippa's presentation on Reflect, Recharge and Reimagine. So I'm going to hand over to you and take the stage, Phillippa.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, and the team at 21Dec02 and FLINT for inviting me to come along and share with everyone that's on this live webinar today about let's get ready for 2022. What a year it has been, and I guess I want to use this session today to really flip the perspective and really get into a positive mindset about what 2021 has been for us all, and get in a space where you can really go into 2022 being optimistic, feeling recharged, and really exciting for the possibilities of what it might bring. So first off, I'm going to ask you all a bit of a question. And that is, I'd like you to put in the chat, what is your one word that sums up your 2021? And while you're doing that, although Elizabeth has given basically an overview of me, I thought I'd just share a few photos that maybe bring to life Elizabeth's introduction of me. So personally, as she said, I am a self-confessed wellbeing junkie. There's some pictures of me in action there, but also I like to balance my action with inaction, the yang with the yin. So I really try to do things like the yoga, the meditation, getting out in nature, the nourishing foods. That was me at Mount Cook heliboarding once we got out of lockdown this year. And I do all this stuff to really keep me energetic and to keep my spirit alive and to help me perform at my best. And then professionally, Elizabeth basically took you through that journey, but I guess the last 6 years as I took on leading the wellbeing program at Chorus and started the Wellbeing Junkie. And then now to moving into launching the Wellbeing Tick, it really has been this amazing journey of merging my passion for wellbeing and bringing that into my profession. And when you get to that place of really questioning, is this actually correct that they're paying me to organize yoga instructors? It's a really phenomenal place to be, and the ability to really impact so many people's lives through this program. And then I guess ending that this year, my time at Chorus, we took away 3 national awards for the best wellbeing program in New Zealand. So it's been a pretty amazing year. And then to take that leap of faith into self-employment has been incredible. But trust me, it hasn't been incredible every day. And it really is the biggest self-development project you could ever imagine. So that's a little bit about me. What we're going to do now is go back to hearing some of the words that people are saying that they're describing their year and demanding roller coaster, and that was used in the description today. And I almost considered putting a picture of that up on my slides. Growth, yes. Long. It has been a very long year. Chaotic. Yeah. Not again. Yes, it is a bit of a repeat on 2021, but we're a little bit more experienced in dealing with it. Stretched, personal growth, intense, crossroads, challenging, stagnant, learning, chaotic. Yeah, so I guess suckful. I love that, Tara. Yeah, I guess there's some very similar themes there, but it's really positive to see some of the ones that have said it's about growth and learning. So we're going to go through a little bit more about that today. So thanks for sharing. So moving on to the first topic that I just want to take you through today, and that is around reflect. Just bear with me 1 second. Cool. So as I sort of said, rather than writing off this year as one you'd like to forget, let's talk about reflecting on how we've all grown as a result of the challenges that we've faced. Reflecting on your year is a great way to release, heal, celebrate, and give grace and gratitude to the positives and the challenges. And some of you may have even heard or not, there's actually a term called post-traumatic growth. And it's a term that describes the positive psychological change that's experienced as a result of struggling through highly challenging and stressful life circumstances. And I think we can all agree that living within a global pandemic is certainly one of them. But how we actually grow through that is also pretty amazing. I found this quote in my preparation, and I really love it as it gives an example of why reflection is just so powerful. So, reflective thinking turns experience into insight. So, looking back so that the view looking forward is even clearer. So, now's a really perfect time as we end the year and we're moving into a new one to really look at the experience that this year's brought us, or even, years prior to that, and by having that, that knowledge and those insights, we can really start to shape what we want our future to look like. So what I'm going to do is take you through some of the things that you could do over your summer break, or as we end out the year or start the new one. And it's something that I like to set aside time for during my summer holidays. And it's writing down my reflections. And these are some of the questions that I've been asking myself probably for at least the last 6 years or so. So looking at the positives, what are the best things that happened in your life this year? Because there will be many. What accomplishments in 2021 are you most proud of? And what are some of your favorite memories in 2021? And as we go through that process, we can, even just thinking about it, I can think of I've been on some amazing hikes this year with friends, spent some really great times with my family, starting my own business. There's so much for me to really sit down and be so grateful for. The next is to look at the challenges and opportunities that we have faced during the year. So, thinking about what are the toughest things that happened in your life this year. And then what lessons did you learn about life and yourself during the course of this year? So as you know, I know for Aucklanders, gosh, you've been in lockdown for a significant period of time, and you're not going to come out the end of that lockdown the same person that went into that in August. So, I think if I reflect on even, the first lockdown last year and the shorter lockdown that Wellington was in this year, it just keeps on coming up for me that we need to live a simpler life. We need to slow down. We need to really connect with the people that are most important in our life and really cherish all of those special moments. So, yeah, really take the time to think about those lessons. And what have you realized is most important in your life this year? I'm sure that, what seemed important maybe a couple of years ago, maybe not might not be anywhere near the same as what it is this year. And I know that Aucklanders, some of the things that you're thinking right now are probably a little bit different to us in Wellington and a little bit different to the versions of ourselves from 5 years ago. And then something that I recommend doing as we go, that they were sort of end of the year reflections, but things that you can be doing as an ongoing practice at any point in time is regular check-ins with yourself or an accountability buddy. So, however that is that you might like to do that, whether it's goal setting, whether it's journaling, whether it's habit tracking, there's all sorts of things that you could be doing. And I guess it's getting a rhythm. So, are you setting reminders in your calendar? Are you setting aside time? Is it are you checking in, each morning and each evening, or is it more like you're checking in on a Sunday, or are you doing like a monthly check-in, quarterly check-ins? And then is there someone, there might be someone that you're networking with today, or someone within the FLINT group that could be an accountability buddy, so that you're helping each other out with what your goals and aspirations are and what you're trying to focus on. Journaling is definitely a practice that has been really helpful to me, during the tough times. The method that I use, and there's so many methods, but this is a simple one, is I write down each night 2 things that I'm grateful for in that day, 2 things that made me happy, 2 success hurdles, so something that might have frustrated me, or just, I wasn't happy about a decision I made, or something didn't go right. Maybe there's something, some thought patterns that are not helpful. And then 2 things that I desire. So really, I guess, trying to manifest the things that I really want in my life. Meditation, you'll hear this time and time again. And I guess my challenge is to the people out there on this call that have never practiced meditation, or, you haven't given it much of a shot. You might have tried a few guided ones here and there, but it's very inconsistent. Meditation is something that I started in October last year. I went to a retreat, which I'll talk a little bit about later. And I just think in today's world where we are, we've been on this roller coaster, we're feeling tired, we live these busy lives, that meditation is really that opportunity to pause in our day, to take some rest, and to recalibrate, and to go internal, and to really check in with ourselves and reflect. And I highly recommend finding a teacher and getting some training on that, and trying to incorporate that into your life. And it doesn't have to be, I do it 2 times a day for 20 minutes. It doesn't need to be that. It could be as simple as just 5 minutes a day, starting off with that. And then coaching, mentoring, or development sessions. So looking for people that can help you reflect and constantly, I guess, reiterate. Mentoring. Maybe there's some available through your workplace. I know that at Chorus there were mentoring circles there. Maybe through a professional body, like I know the HR Institute, they had mentoring opportunities. And the way that I actually did it was, well, not my current one, but my first mentors that I ever had outside of HRNZ was I just did a LinkedIn post and said that I was looking for development in my HR profession, and they helped out with that. So highly recommend that. This next slide here is just a little exercise, and I'll make these slides available for people, but it's a really easy exercise to go through and rate how you feel that you went in these areas of your life. There might be others that you add to it, just a little 1 to 10, and then you can really see the areas that you might want to put a little bit more focus on. And you could also check in on a monthly or quarterly basis to see how you're tracking with progress. So the second area that I wanted to talk about for helping you get ready for 2022 is recharge. And I guess the stressed and overwhelmed version of ourselves is not the real version. We tend to be easily triggered and reactive. But when we relax, we are open in mind and body. We laugh more, maybe we even cry more, we feel more. We are creative problem solvers, expansive, curious, and adaptable. And in this state of mind, we're more inclined to focus on the positives and err on the side of appreciation, which I think is a really great place to be. As you can see, there's a bit of a theme. I certainly love to recharge in the bush and in nature. As I was doing the preparation for this, I looked at what some of the definitions were. And recharge is really about regaining energy or spirit. There's also some other R words that are very close to this. And I think it's really good to have a picture of this as to what we want to use this summer break for, is to like really do a deep recharge so that we're ready for what 2022 will bring. Recover is about returning to a normal state of health, mind, and strength. We know that when we've been constantly busy, we do start to, some people get sick actually when they go on their summer break because the immune system finally catches up on you just been go, 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 and then it actually has a time to heal. So be mindful that that could occur. Relax is to become less tense or anxious. It's not uncommon to feel that in the working, in our working week. We have deadlines, we have pressures. And outside of that, we have children and we have, things that we need to do in our lives. Rest, I think this is a really critical one, is about just stop doing work and activity or movement. And I think that we really struggle as human beings to rest completely. We sort of put ourselves, I'm an active relaxer, and we find it really hard to stop doing. So something to consider. And then finally, refresh. So wouldn't it be great to go into the new year where we have this new strength and energy? So as we start winding down for the summer break, here are some of my tips on how to truly relax over the holidays, but also continue to rest as part of your daily and weekly practices. So some of the things that I'd recommend maximizing over the summer break is sleep and rest. You just heard the definition. So it's really about trying to just stop doing so much. And, sleep hygiene is so important. We're now not having to get up at certain times. So use that opportunity to catch up on it. Great nutrition and hydration is going to be important. We run the risk of, getting to this time of the year and it all goes out the window. There's Christmas parties, there's just sort of this fatigue and our willpower declines. But, just if you're already kind of like, your battery is draining, and then we just start throwing more alcohol and more sugar and more crap into our body, or that's really going to slow down our ability to recharge over the holidays. Exercise, you don't need to specifically be training for marathons or anything too strenuous here, but just, keep moving is really helpful. Have fun. Like life has been extremely serious, it feels, this year. So using that ability to just have a laugh, do some dancing, and just play with your kids, play with your nieces and nephews, and spending time in nature. Even just things like can stay up a little bit later. So, watching the moon, it's so incredible. The stars, maybe you're going to be in some remote places to watch for shooting stars, connecting with sunrises and sunsets and getting in the water and the bush and the beach and into the mountains. Things you might want to minimize: spending money. This is not the time of year where you need to be going crazy. Really consider the level of spend with Christmas presents, and can you make arrangements that perhaps there's just one present and there's a secret Santa, and just not needing to go overboard, because that creates more pressure. Minimize spending time with people who drain your energy. We know that it can be challenging sometimes with families, so small doses, and think about how you manage that. Screen time, this is going to come up a lot, is just how can we really try and move ourselves away from the digital world and just really be present in the physical. We really could benefit so much from just staying away and having a bit of a break from the news. I mean, I guess we'll get a text from the government if something happens that we need to know, but really everything else is not too important. Minimizing the physical and mental clutter. So, can you keep your physical space, in a way that kind of is not too chaotic? And, the mental clutter is just reducing the amount of things that, and the next point around commitments and responsibilities and obligations. We do that all year. So how do we use that opportunity to just, let go of some of that stuff and surrender? I'm just going to check in. So hydration doesn't solely mean alcohol. Correct. Definitely need to get some get some water in for sure. Okay, and then moving on to practices ongoing. So beyond the summer holidays, maximizing that space in your day, like, giving yourself little rests throughout the day, or time in the weekend just to disconnect from digital. Silence is so powerful. I don't even work anymore with music. Craig could hear me earlier. I can hear the birds now that it's hot and the doors are open. I used to be someone that would get home, turn on the music, turn on the TV. I hardly listen to any of that now, and it's so recharging. I've talked about meditation and mindfulness, journaling and reading. Nutrition is always going to be so important, and the gentle and restorative movement. So getting in the gentle walking and stretching and things like yoga. And I alluded to this earlier. It's something that's became quite confronting to me as I started hearing about the metaverse. And someone on Instagram had talked about how we've gone from this fully physical world to, as the TV came in, computers came in, smartphones came in, we are living in this highly, here we are right now in this virtual world, and it actually freaked me out. And so how can we, continue to spend more time in that physical world of getting out in nature and that face-to-face connection when we're allowed? Things like cooking and gardening and sports and fishing and all that good stuff. And then minimizing time in the virtual world. So it's the screens, the scrolling, the social media, the news. I just think that is so detrimental to our well-being when we're using it in excessive amounts. And, what we're consuming can be sometimes very triggering. And, you could be having a really good day, and then all of a sudden something comes up in your feed and, it triggers something. And then all of a sudden our day is impacted. Substances, nicotine, drugs, alcohol, coffee, sugar, they're all going to impact our ability to recharge for the new day, for the new week. So it really just is about, how can we learn to moderate these things or work on eliminating, perhaps where possible. And over anything, overspending, overworking, overcommitting, over exercising, overeating. It's really trying to work with those boundaries and those kind of points where we don't spill over into really ruining our energy levels. And here's another exercise that you could do in your own time. So it's a little stock take that you would complete of a typical day in your life. And it's about highlighting the activities that are recharging you versus draining you. And so I've got some examples there. I might be a well-being junkie, but I'm certainly not perfect. Life is very much a challenging balance on the daily. And so, some of the things that I'm really proud of after seeing that post about the metaverse and freaking out that my life was becoming, totally virtual, I started charging my phone in the kitchen overnight again. I had previously done that, but the habit had changed. So that's really good for me. Draining me is scrolling and eating. I'm a nutritionist, but I'm trying so hard to practice mindful eating. But if anyone is doing that for every meal of the day, please reach out to me. I'd love to know your secrets on that. And screens off at 8 p.m. It doesn't always happen, but my phone shuts off at 8 p.m. And I think that's a really good time for me to start winding down, to be clearing things up, getting ready, reading, that real restorative part of the evening. I do get up very early, so hence 8 o'clock. It might be more like 9 or 10 o'clock for some of you. Alrighty, moving into the third tips really around, or topic, as we move into 2022 is Reimagine. And so it's about putting aside all of the noise and the negativity that is surrounding us, I guess, in this world right now, and reimagining what an epic 2022 could look like. So I took this selfie at the meditation retreat that I mentioned earlier last Labour weekend. And based on my smile here, you wouldn't know that I was actually struggling with loneliness and quite a significant decline in my mental fitness. I was really not in a great place. You also wouldn't know that when I took this picture, which was around about 4 p.m. on a Saturday, that I'd been in silence with the group on the retreat, which is including one of my friends, since 9 p.m. the night before, so Friday night, 9 p.m. And I wouldn't be speaking to anyone. I hadn't spoken to anyone all of that Saturday, and I wasn't going to be speaking to any of them until 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, so 36 hours of silence. And so you can imagine how I was feeling. To be honest, I actually didn't know the finer details. I heard meditation in the silence, but just kind of didn't think it would be 36 hours. And so when I found that out, I actually, just sort of started, bubbling that I was going to have an anxiety attack with being in my dark thoughts all alone for 36 hours. How was I actually going to cope? When I'm the sort of person who needs to talk about how I'm feeling and needs that support. But it turns out that that day right there was my best day of 2021. And why was that? Well, I believe it's because I had space to reimagine my life and work out a plan for how I was going to improve my mental fitness and get myself from this dark place to a really, back to my happy place. And I found this awesome quote from Deepak Chopra, who's, a phenomenal person to follow. And, it really, I guess, indicates to me how powerful imagination is, as it allows us to be creative. And whether that's creating the life you desire, designing a new kitchen, or coming up with a business idea, it really gives us that ability to just, to be in that dream state, and just, anything is possible. It's such an amazing state to be in. But the problem is, as he says, that, the worst use of imagination is anxiety. And I think that, in today's society, we spend so much of our time worrying about the future, imagining worst case scenarios, that are just nonsense and stories that we're telling ourselves. And yes, I understand that there are potential, threats and concerns that, could come into fruition, but it hasn't happened yet. And so I guess it's how do we, bring ourselves back to the present and not be imagining what could be, but just imagining what is, or what could be in a positive sense. So here are some questions, and again, you've got access to them, but just to sort of get you thinking around how could you reimagine your personal life going into 2022. So some of the things there could be, how much relaxation and rest time do you need or want, and how are you actually going to put that into your weekly schedule. And for me, it's not about that would be nice. It's actually about writing the stuff down and putting it in the calendar and making it happen. What routines and rituals and habits do you need to commit to? How could you simplify your life? For me, how can you make technology work for you, not against you? I've been working on that so hard this year, and I'm making progress, but not enough. So I continue to keep working on that. A really awesome question. What's on your bucket list that you could tick off in 2022? And if you don't have a bucket list, perhaps it's time to write one over the summer holidays and just think as big as you possibly can. Are there upgrades that you might want to make to your home? Are there people that you want to support? Are there charities that you want to support? So some awesome questions to really get excited about. And then these are some of the tools that I have used to support me in, I guess, manifesting and reimagining my dream life. And they include the Life Plan by Shannon Kennedy, who's an amazing life coach. Atomic Habits, many of you will be familiar with that. The Illuminate Career Workbook, I've sent that to so many people. It's an amazing. It's actually got a lot of these reflections in there and questions to help you find out where you want to go with your career. That little picture is of my weekly menu plan. I couldn't live without deciding what I'm going to eat, trying some beautiful new recipes, which helps me know what I need to buy at the grocery store. That very amateur sort of handwritten calendar is my habit tracker. And basically it's a traffic light system, red, orange or green. So I was focusing on alcohol free, sugar free and meditation. So obviously I started off with a hiss and a roar and it started declining a bit and I stopped tracking, but I've actually been now 9 weeks without sugar again. So it's actually going pretty well for me, that system. And there's an app called Habit, that bottom right, that you can download and do it that way. In the professional sense, some of you might be, considering your next career move, whether that's internally or externally. And I think that everything that's going on in the world is really, all those questionings about, what have I learned and what's important to me. So, asking yourself some of these questions. Do you want to continue in the role that you're in? If not, what are your career aspirations? What could be the first step that you need to take? What are the projects that you would like to be involved in? What skills do you want to develop? And then, even not about the actual job you want to do. I'm very passionate about designing, this how we work and how much we work. So, how many hours do you want to work? And don't go, oh, well, I've got a full-time job. They'll never say yes to me reducing my hours. You haven't asked. You don't know. And I think that there's been a big shift in the way that organisations are supportive of flexible arrangements these days. So I went to 36 days, 36 hours, and then to 32 hours, and it was the best thing ever, just to free up some time. What healthy boundaries do you need to put in place between work and home? How much money do you want to earn? And what holidays, the important stuff, what breaks are you going to take during 2022? And another thing that I do, this is up on LinkedIn, although I've refreshed it since I did the post. this will be in the notes though, is, I get geeky. And as I said, it's about, not just thinking about how I'd like to work. This is my template. So, you can see my meditation in the mornings, my exercise. I have a little bit of time for breakfast and connecting with people, catching up on that sort of stuff in the morning before starting my day. The dark blues, deep work, and taking time to have a break. Meditation, looking at walking and yoga after work, wind down, that kind of stuff. So, consider that. And then this is one final exercise that you can do as a reflection exercise, and that is, in 2022, I promise to. And from what you've taken out of the tips in this presentation today, or you can obviously refer back to the notes, is, what are you going to reflect regularly by? Recharge and reimagine. What are you going to promise to create, connect with, say yes to, say no to? And I think the say no to is definitely the most important, because we spend so much of our time doing stuff that doesn't even really spark joy, or it's just something that we feel like we should be doing, when we always should question the things that we say should to in our lives. What do we want to spend more time doing and less time doing? That's also really important. And what is your keyword for 2022? You gave that word that described 2021, and for the most part, ideally, we wouldn't really want next year to be a roller coaster. But how could we anchor it with a word that, when we are potentially feeling like 2021 is feeling a bit like a roller coaster again, come back to a word that anchors us, and think of the things that really, the practices that you can put in place to help you bring that word to life, as your kind of like compass for the year. And tell someone, share it with someone, stay committed and accountable to it. And then finally, what are you going to promise to commit to pursuing your passion and purpose? And what are your passions and purpose? So to wrap it up, I'm going to open back up to the chat again now. I'd love you to share what is the one thing that you're going to commit to after this session. Habits, great. And it's awesome that you're using that, Katie. Winning lotto, that would be nice. Reflection, awesome. Cool, Amy, reflecting on the year. Time out, Lauren. So important. Meaningful reflection, yeah. And I think it's about finding your rhythm. So, for me, there's that end of the year one that's coming, the big reflection on the year. But then there's also, it's the daily and the weekly reflection on how things are going is really, really important. And I think it's also good to do that from a career or a professional perspective as well, and incorporating some of that into your one-on-ones with your people leader. If you're working with a mentor, that's really good. Slowing down, turning off from tech. More mindful use of technology. It's huge, isn't it? Spending less time worrying about things I can't control. So many good things. Oh, great. Someone's going to read Shanna's book. Awesome, Alex. Love it. Cool. Alrighty. Well, you can get in touch with me. I'm not sure how I'd put up the slides, but perhaps Elizabeth or Craig can tell us that. But you can find me at the Wellbeing Tick. That's around the Workplace Wellbeing Accreditation Program, which hasn't officially launched, so you're very lucky to see a bit of a sneak preview there. The website actually is live. I'm just about to put my new photo shoot photos up over the next few days. And then if you're interested in more support around your own personal well-being and nutrition, you can check out the Wellbeing Junkie. So thank you so much, everyone, for your participation and joining today. And I hope you have the best time doing those reflections and just getting really positive about 2022, because it's going to be awesome. Thank you.